Okay. Should we talk about day number 4?
Day number 4.
Or bottle number 4? I guess it depends on if you want to drink them each day or all in one weekend.
Rye. This time.
Yeah. So.
Wait. From Denmark?
Yeah. Today we are in Denmark. From the Stauning Distillery. I think that's how you say it. Stauning. Does it look right? Stauning?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's got to be close-ish enough. So this distillery started in 2005, so it's fairly new. The book says that they started out really modest, only wanting to do 100 liters a year, which is like 100 bottles. Okay, maybe it's like 105 bottles or something like that, but like it's a really small amount, you know, because bottles are 750s. Anyways, so the thing about this is that it's a rye. It already looks significantly darker than some of the other ones that we've had, and it should smell and taste very different.
Doesn't smell very different.
I think it is much more like punchy, and it has a lot more on the nose than the last couple.
Burns your nose a little more. It still smells very sweet to me.
This is also a higher ABV. It
is
is 48%
Okay.
versus the one that we just tried was only 43%.
Okay.
At 5%, it gets you.
Cheers.
Or we already cheersed.
Did we?
Yeah.
Cheers again. Oh, definitely rye. It takes a couple of seconds for it to
hit
start.
ya.
Yeah.
But it gets you. It has that spice, that like gingerbread, like clove and nutmeg, and really like punchy cinnamon and vanilla in a good way. But so this one is 100, well, it's not 100% rye because they use a barley. So it's probably like 95%, 95% rye, and then like 5 to 10% barley because they would use the enzymes. But the interesting thing about this is that it says multiple times in the little booklet here, for those of you following along, that they use, they do 100% floor malt in the distillery. And that is specifically reserved for the Scots. They do a lot of it, and that's kind of where it started. And do you want me to explain what that is?
I think I understand that you put it all on the ground, lay it all out, and then how does it heat though?
So the floors are usually heated.
Like water heat or something?
Usually they have some kind, they're built, the modern ones are built so they have like radiant floor heat.
Okay.
But the older ones, the ones that are historic or they still use some of the really old ways, like the original ways that they would have done all this, it's the second floor of the fermentation room.
Oh.
Because the heat from the fermentation room is hot, right? And it rises. So then it'll heat the floor above it. So essentially they would be doing this in the attic where it would be like a significantly warmer temperature in the entire distillery.
What season do they do this in also?
Year round.
Okay.
So in order to call it like single malt, which this one is not called a single malt, but so single malt has the limitations that it has to be like harvested in the fall and then distilled that same year. So usually it depends on if you harvest once or twice, but if you harvest one time, you're harvesting sometime in like August, possibly September, depending upon how dry it is. And so then you would be malting and roasting it and distilling it from like September to December 31st. And then it's got to go into barrels. And that's the classification for a single malt. So that's probably similar. But to be honest, nowadays, everything is enclosed with windows, right? So like you can ferment and distill year round without any problems. So that's pretty interesting overall that this one's specifically called out that they use a floor malting method.
Well, they're grains aren't grown year round though. So like,
They're not. But they aren't listed as a single malt.
Okay.
They're just listed as a rye whiskey. I'm saying like single malt is the only one that specifically has that time limitation of harvesting and roasting malting before you start the fermentation process before December 31st.
Ooh. So in this glass, the rye came out on my tongue. In this glass, it came out, and maybe my tongue was slightly adjusted to that rye. It hit my throat.
I like it out of the Glencairn. Surprise.
It's a very pinky up glass, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think that the flavor is more round, and it has some sweeter notes when it comes out of this one, because it does hit farther back in my mouth, and so it hits like
It definitely hits further back in my mouth.
the areas in my tongue where I think I associate like sweetness. What else can we say about this one? So on the palate, you're supposed to get ripe cherries, smoked tea, and citrus fruits.
I could see a tea. Citrus fruits like an orange maybe, but
I mean, it's not descript, but yeah, citrus fruits. It could be like a mandarin.
okay.
Something that's like sweeter, richer. That's what you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the finish, you're supposed to get vanilla and a peppery finish, which I think it delivers that 100%.
When you think of a cocktail that uses rye whiskey, like predominantly rye whiskey, what cocktail would you think of?
A Manhattan.
Okay.
A Sazerac.
So I think that this is not as pungent of a rye flavor. And I
mean, I beg to differ. I think this is really smooth. And a lot of the ryes that we traditionally get burn
yes.
a lot more.
Yes.
And I mean, that's a choice that the distiller made with their cuts. This one is very, very smooth, very rich. It has almost like a salty bread flavor. Like, I know that might sound really gross, but
Over salted bread now.
No. Think of like fresh baked, like rye or sourdough, but like you have some type of like a salty like spread with it, like
Okay.
like Braunschweiger or like ham or something like that, right? So it's got almost like a like savory flavor to it. That's not an herbal note. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. Unfortunately, this is not distributed worldwide. It's just only available in Europe. So,
Okay.
I guess, again, we'll just have to make
just
friends
try
with
it.
people.
We'll just try it right now. That's all we got.
Yeah. I mean, maybe at some point some of these will show up in the U.S. I feel like we're probably going to be looking for this one, though. At least I will be.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's pretty nice.
We don't always get the best stuff here in the Midwest.
We get a lot of, Kentucky bourbon. All right, bye.